The fairy you saved in the ruins appears before you. She seems to want to take you somewhere. The fairy leads you into an old ivy-covered tower. You find yourself in a cluttered room that seems to be a laboratory. Judging by the stratification of dust, much time has passed since anyone last entered this room. Letters amidst the shambles indicate that a magician named Lucane lives here. You find a message he penned on the desk. Lucane wrote that he was off to see a magician friend named Wallace in the underground labyrinth. The fairy uses various interpretive gestures to indicate that she wants you to find him. You accept her job request. You head to Wallace's underground labyrinth to look for the magician Lucane. This underground labyrinth is said to have been made in a single night with powerful magic. It is a dangerous place, replete with traps. It bars entry to all who would dare.
It's my turn.
Out of the blue, a mouse darts out and leaps onto your palm. The rodent claims to be the apprentice of Wallace the magician. He says he was tasked with caring for the laboratory while Wallace was gone, but it is beset by malevolent magic users. When you ask about Lucane, the apprentice answers that his master's friend went into the labyrinth and hasn't returned. Your quest to find Lucane is delayed as you attempt to liberate the lab for Ricky the Magician's apprentice. The door to the laboratory is through this hall.
Oh, yes. Simple. I got it. Done. Outstanding. Oh, I can do that. It's my turn. Simple.
Because the laboratory was being misused, some of the experiments housed within have now run amok. There's been a population explosion of mutated beings that spread their spores around. The labyrinth is overrun by fungi.
Oh my. Oh yes. Done. Let's see. They're coming.
Destroy the cocoons before they hatch, or they'll keep coming. Found some bones that seem to belong to Lucane in the depths of the labyrinth. The tattered raiments and jewelry leave no doubt that the corpse is indeed Lucane's. You bring back the bones of the magician Lucane. You found Lucane, but he was dead. You imagine the fairy will be overcome with grief, but you need to return to her. When you enter the laboratory, the fairy frantically flits around you, as if it senses your uneasiness. Upon seeing Lucaine's bones, the fairy enters into a panic. She begins tugging at your arm to get you to leave the tower. The fairy is apparently attempting to lead you somewhere. You collect Lucaine's bones and follow her. As you enter, a kindly voice echoes from the back. "You seem to be in need of help," a monk says, and approaches you. You nervously hand the monk the bones of Lucaine. "Allow this heart to beat again. Quench their thirst. Lead the wandering soul back. Reverse death. And awaken them." The prayer reaches the goddess, and the pile of bones is once again given flesh. Lucaine, shocked to find himself alive, thanks you profusely. He tells you to visit him at his laboratory and leaves. The resurrected magician has returned to the old tower in town. You decide to see him to ask more details. The magician Lucaine is waiting for you in the laboratory of the old tower. It seems that dying had an adverse effect on his short-term memory. Lucaine can't remember why he went to meet Wallace. Lucaine is researching magic called runes, which are closely tied to spirits and fairies. Lucaine introduces his fairy friend to you. Her name is Tiki. She left the fairy forest due to her strong curiosity. He thanks you again for saving him and allowing him to enjoy life's rich pageant. He displays his magic trinkets. Lucaine says he'd be happy to sell you these items at a fraction of the normal price and answer any questions you have. What will you ask? Lucaine says that he would be delighted to discuss this and launches headlong into a discussion about runes. Runes are magical letters that spirits and fairies carved into the world. You may have seen them yourself. Touching runes makes letters sparkle and float. Runes are a combination of 3 characters that create various effects. However, runes won't work unless a spirit or fairy is present. That's what you gather from Lucaine's long lecture. Before you realize it, Tiki is following you around. She seems to have taken a liking to you. She will accompany you on your adventures henceforth. Fairies are known to be adept at finding hidden things.
Oh, how can I help you? Which one?
can I help you?
Allow this heart to beat again. Quench their thirst. Lead the wandering soul back. Reverse death. And awaken them. A letter from the castle has come to you via the guild. It simply says to report to the castle in all haste.
You're back.
You assume that the letter was sent by the Prime Minister. Perhaps he has another request for you. Count Dean is waiting for you at the throne room. It is he who sent the letter. After your previous encounter, you can only assume that he's up to something nefarious. You brace for combat. The guards have drawn their swords and are blocking the exit. Count Dean starts talking to you in a soft voice. He says that he has personally requested your assistance in performing a task for him. He wants you to scout Bilberon Fortress on the border. This underground fortress is a well-known structure. Originally built to defend against the Orc army, it now lies in Orc hands. Scout them and learn their invasion routes. It is a very dangerous mission, but refusal means that you will be at the mercy of Dean's guards. You accept. Per Count Dean's request, you agreed to infiltrate and surveil the subterranean... The Orc army presently controls Bilberon, the underground fortress built into the canyon. The King's army has been mounting a fierce offensive to try and reclaim the fortress.
Outstanding.
You step into the enemy kitchen. A corpulent chef grabs a goblin instead of meat and suddenly stops. The cook, sensing your presence, stares directly at you. Luckily, her sight's not so keen, so she doesn't notice you. Eventually, the chef returns to her meat cutting. You use the goblin's screams to mask your escape. pathway,
I can
blocked with a stone wall, doesn't look like it would give way unless you bombed it.
Oh, yeah. It's my turn. Voila! Oh, crap.
They're here. Enemies! Get him!
Oh, I can do that.
At the bottom of the stairs is an area connected to the sewers. This seems your most likely escape route. After defeating the Minotaur, you move through the sewer's filth. The reconnaissance mission went well. You gathered intel and slipped back across enemy lines. Among the treasures you claimed is the great sword of the hero Javelin. You succeeded in acquiring intel on the underground fortress. This job will be completed once you report to Count Dean. You report everything you learned to Count Dean. Unfortunately, you also mention the hero's legendary sword. Naturally, he demands the great sword, but at least he's in a good mood now. He thought you'd just flee, but you didn't. It seems that he thinks much more highly of you now. Dean confides in you some of the problems in the castle. Once the king went missing, the Prime Minister began recommending the Archduke MacNeil of Bulgar to the throne. Bulgar is an aggressive nation to the north. MacNeil is related to the King of Highland and has a legal claim to the throne. Count Dean claims that MacNeil has been rallying nobles in Highland to support his claim to the throne. That's why Dean hired Tommet to steal the scepter. He says that Tommet is extremely trustworthy, so long as he is paid. Suddenly, the Prime Minister and the Princess appear. It seems you are being watched. The Count glowers and departs. The Prime Minister warns you not to involve yourself any further. The Princess, as usual, looks back with blank eyes. Since you completed the job at the castle, you return to the Adventurers Guild to tell them what transpired. Roland also happens to be here to report on a job. However, Samuel is not here. Roland is waiting for him to return. Roland thinks that he just missed him and asks you to track down the Guildmaster and bring him back. You look for Samuel, the guildmaster. He should be somewhere in town.
Oh, how can I help you?
Welcome to my shop. What would you like?
Wandering One, how can I help you?
Allow this heart to... Allow this heart...
May they rest in peace. May they rest in peace. Wandering One.
You stand before the goddess statues, Jula, Althena, and Vernus. These statues have all crumbled. Texts say the goddesses sacrificed themselves to defeat a dragon, which caused their likenesses to degrade as well. Althena, the one in the center, is the goddess of compassion, battle, and odyssey, making her popular with adventurers. If your party falls during your adventure, a prayer to Althena and a tithing of your money will resurrect the party. If you are repeatedly depending on her grace, the amount you must offer for her services will continually increase. A giant man in armor finishes his prayers and turns around. His pensive expression quickly turns fierce as he sees you. He tells you that he was praying because he has sent many friends to look for the king, but they haven't found the slightest clue. When you ask to help, Samuel just nods and hands you a request form. It's the same request the temple gave you. In a remote region, marriageable girls are disappearing one by one. The catacombs are believed to be linked somehow. As you leave the temple, a ragged old man slumped in the road calls out to you in a gravelly voice. His raspy voice makes it difficult for you to discern if he's even speaking your language. You can give him a coin if you feel pity for him. Of course, you're free to walk away as well. He doesn't even acknowledge the coin. He mutters, over and over. You probably won't be able to communicate with him, no matter how long you strain your concentration. To solve the mystery of the disappearances, you head to the catacombs, where the villagers fear to tread.